Hi, I'm Christian Dunn, Managing Partner of Strategic Innovation and Government Contact. I'm coming to you today once again with Rick Dunn, founder of Strategic Institute for Innovation and Government Contact. And today we're talking about the importance of the vision statement. Rick, I've been to a few of your trainings now, and there's a couple of points that I hear at the trainings. First is the importance of milestones as far as a program using as a programmatic tool. And the second is the importance of a vision statement. Now, I, as a small business person and entrepreneur, when I start to hear vision statement, that's the type of thing that excites me. Why? Because you're talking about creating something. Now, the FAR, as far as I can tell, gets so into the weeds about all of its ticking its boxes and it being a purchasing system that it seems to forget that it's creating something. That this is about creating or advancing the state of the art and new technology, new capability. At least that's what we're talking about other transactions authorities. So today, I want you to tell me, where does the vision statement come in, and why do you think it's important? So important.
The vision statement is extremely important. It's something that's typically not found in a government procurement contract. Some procurement contracts have a statement of background, which is written by the government. But a vision statement in another transaction should actually be the mutual product of all the parties to the agreement. That show that they have come together, that they understand what their goals are. And some of those goals may be mutual and some of them may be individual, but they need to be congruent. And so that's why you have a discussion leading to a vision statement. Now, some people have said, a vision statement, a narrative at the beginning of a contract, that's not contractual language. Well, actually it is. And many contracts in the past and some today have what are called recitals. Right up at the front of the contract are clauses that say, whereas so-and-so, the party of the first part, desires to blank, 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 and whereas so-and-so, the party of the second part, desires to do so-and-so, and a factual or narrative statement of why the parties are at the table dealing with one another is made, and it ends up in, now therefore, we're going to go do this. That, in essence, is what the vision statement is. In our case, we don't necessarily have the party of the first part, and we don't have whereas and so forth. We just have a narrative statement of why the parties have come together and what the goals of the program are. And the party, because of the flexibility of other transactions, the parties could be just two parties, as in a government procurement contract, the government and one private sector partner who may have subs, or it may be the government and multiple private sector partners, all of whom are signatories to the agreement, all of whom have their mutual goal, but as well also their individual goals.
And again, this points out that this is about creating something. Again, I don't know if government people realize this, but a lot of business folks really, really get turned on by creating something. And if it's more powerful than some of its parts, more power to it, I think. And the government has a lot of resources to share that can, enable and facilitate a lot of this innovation. So anyway, I love this type of thinking, vision statement, getting everybody on board. I mean, as an entrepreneur, small business person, I mean, you're speaking their language now. This is what they want to hear. Anyway, continue, Rick. I'm sorry.
And forming the business statement relates to some other parts of the OTE process. We often talk in our education and training sessions about the team, and the team initially is a government team, which starts to understand what the problem. And ultimately, the government team is going to engage in industry, and the team is going to be government and industry. And they all need to be at the table.
And other experts, correct? I mean,
yeah. But ultimately, if we're talking about negotiating the agreement, we want the key players involved. Once we've parsed the problem, we start to formulate goals And that, in essence, is what the vision, that becomes the vision statement. It might be good to lay out the sequence, what we suggest as the sequence of OT negotiations. And first of all, it's get the government team together, the brain power that you need, which typically is centered on a program manager, a person who has a mission to accomplish and budget to accomplish that mission, who is supported by a cast of characters that include possibly a lawyer, most likely a lawyer, a contracting specialist, as well as others, depending on the flavor of the agreement. So this is the team that understands the problem. It may seek industry input at any stage of its own deliberations to get more information. When the strategy has been laid out, and you're either going sole source or you're going out in some sort of solicitation, outreach to industry, to either find a single performer or to have industry put its team together. Once that happens, you bring all of those parties to the table, and that's when the vision statement is formulated. You've already understood the problem. You're in a position to understand the goals of the program and articulate them. So that's what you do at that point.
So what you're saying, industry has been also part of the problem, or the team parsing the problem, at least in some cases, and then they move on, and they're a part of this, you know.
Absolutely, and
that's exciting for business people for businesses to feel like they're a part of something greater. This is exciting stuff for them.
The formulation of this vision statement, by the way, also helps downstream in this sequence of negotiations in order to determine if there are any disconnects early, that the parties to the table actually, they understand the problem and they have goals, but their goals aren't compatible.
They're not. It's not jiving. It's for whatever reason.
There's no reason to waste time beyond that.
Right.
Point. That's a valuable thing to discover. Stop.
Why waste years, right? Why waste time?
Absolutely. And the formulation of this vision statement, which is typically becomes Article 1, scope of the agreement of the other transaction, is the beginning of the negotiating history of the agreement, and it lays out some key points. And this slide illustrates what some of those are. Why are we here? Why are the parties sitting around this table? What technology challenge are we looking at? Do we have all the right players at the table? Why are we doing this? The other issue in OTs is it's not all about cost. We talk about price and value. And some of the commercial players, if this project works and if the science and technology is advanced, if there's a prototype, if we end up going into production, the primary market might not be the government. It might be a civil market, and their interest may be, yeah, we're happy to sell to the government, but the market outside the government is much larger, and that's part of our goal, is to address that market. Well, that may suggest that maybe cost sharing makes sense. Maybe the government shouldn't bear the entire cost of the project. Maybe we should validate industry's interest by having them tell us that they've garnered some private financing in order to move this project forward. And
why not?
It's formulating this vision statement that informs us on these sorts of issues. So let's put up the next slide as an example of this is an outline of an actual project that was performed under the Technology Reinvestment Project. And first of all, you can see that there were large companies, small companies, universities, even a government university was involved in this partnership. So the issue here is the government knew what it wanted. It wanted a functional information management system. The functionality of the information management system depended on a proper structure, a proper backbone, but ultimately the key products were delivered by functional nodes. And so when the private sector partners were brought in, they all had to want the same thing, a fully functional information management system. But for their part, the way they made money was by selling some functional aspect, a printer or a screen or some kind of device that actually delivered product or transmitted product across this system. So you can see in the illustration here, the interface data had to be developed jointly, and the various parties that were going to provide functional nodes contributed to that so that their product could actually hook into the system and work. The overall system had to work, and the parties could work on that mutually. So the backbone and the interface all were developed jointly, but the agreement allowed individual companies to have proprietary positions on these functional nodes. So we had a joint vision of what the overall goal of the program was, and we were able to accommodate the individual goals of particular companies. So this is the kind of flexibility that you have with OTs, but in order to take advantage of this, you have to have a fulsome discussion and make sure that everybody's on the same page. And when you do that, negotiating the individual terms and conditions then becomes much easier because you're all aiming in the same direction. And if your individual terms and conditions sound orthogonal to your overall goal, well, then maybe your discussion on the front end wasn't quite as vigorous as it should have been. Anyway,
I like all of it. It's government thinking more like a business. It's thinking more about the interests of business and how they think. Vision statements, whenever you come together in business, it's good to make sure that everybody's on the same team and that they are the right players and partners. This is the type of thinking that other transactions allows, and we hope you will learn more. Thank you, Rick, for being with us again today. You can always find us at strategicinstitute.org. Thank you.